side say that the jury is back in the room, that Judge Merchan is back on the bench. And so we are looking now, it looks like we have some of the verdicts coming in. It is quickly coming in here. From inside, we are starting to hear that there are guilty. There are guilty verdicts. From our producer inside, we're hearing guilty on 1 through 5. 1 through 12, we have now 13, 14 guilty. 15 guilty. You may hear there are a split of folks here who have been protesting on both sides of this case. Some cheer, some boos, as we are now getting the information from the jury. We're up to 18 counts, 19 guilty. Remember, we have 34 here, 20 guilty. And again, these counts were very similar, what they were looking at. It was different occurrences, essentially, of the same crime, a misdemeanor that was elevated by being linked to a felony, to an underlying crime. We are now 24 counts in, all guilty from inside. This is what we are hearing from our producers, up to 26 guilty. Now, remember, each of these counts could maximum have 4 years in jail. President Trump would be considered a first-time offender. These are non-violent crimes. So it seems that it is unlikely the judge would sentence him to prison. But we are now up to 31 counts guilty out of 34. 32 guilty, also coming in from inside the courtroom. Our producers now saying 33 and 34. They're saying guilty on all 34 charges. That is where we are at. The jurors, it looks like we're going to leave for the day. Suddenly we get this verdict. It is 34 guilty counts on all of this. I want to bring in Andy McCarthy, who's here with me, Judge Deneen as well, and Trey Gowdy. Andy, where we go from here, obviously there will automatically be an appeal from this Trump team as quickly as possible. There's the legal issue of sentencing to come. That's going to take maybe months to get to a pretrial report on this and then to a sentencing by the judge. And he reminded the jurors he's the one who decides. But we have the reality now of a former president for the first time being convicted on 34 criminal counts, guilty on all of these counts, whatever conflict or confusion or questions the jury had. They got that information back to them this morning, and by the end of day 2 of deliberations, we're at 34 guilty counts for the former president.
Welcome back to Breakdown Friday. Joseph Ward, Patrick Irvin, Professor Carl Tone Johnson. We might as well go ahead and weigh in on what's going on with Donald Trump being convicted on 34 counts of falsification of business records. And of course, we're going to dive into how that affects his presidency, his presidential campaign, how that affects the look of him and his campaign, and is he still viable as a candidate? Is he still the strongest candidate? And we're just black folk, and black folk don't like Trump, so we're gonna talk about Trump because we know black folk don't like Trump, so let's do it. But seriously though, but just weighing in on what's going on with Trump and how that actually affects America and the trickle down effect. How does that affect us in a political sense? Will that encourage or discourage more black people to move toward or away from the Republican Party? How does that affect the people, the black people who are on the fence for the Republican Party, between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, especially if Trump moves forward as the actual Republican candidate? Will he still be able to run? Like, what's going to happen? As was said in the clip, it's going to take couple months for the sentencing to actually happen. So within that time, what all will come out of this? So I think this is a good conversation to get into. So Pat,
what up?
Overall, first of all, when you heard that Trump could possibly be convicted, and then you heard that he was actually convicted, like those two different scenarios, what were your thoughts? First hearing that he could possibly be convicted, and then after learning that he was actually convicted.
First hearing that he could be convicted, honestly, I didn't think he would be convicted, if I'm just being honest about it.
Me neither.
After I found out that he would be convicted, or that he was convicted, again, my first thought is the Democrats just keep making mistakes.
Why you say that?
They're turning this man into a martyr. Like, if the goal is to be rid of Trump, Trump needs to be ignored.
I was just saying that in the conversation.
Yeah, that's the only solution to Trump is you got to treat Trump like a virus. Just let him run his course. You do what you can to treat the symptoms that spill out into the country, but you don't directly address him. Now, that is assuming that you want to be rid of Trump. I think the Democrats are making a lot of mistakes in that they feel like they have an easy target, an easy punching bag, somebody that represents a spectrum of the country that they can easily beat up on. And they're totally misreading the fact that the more y'all pile onto this man, the more of a celebrity you make him, the more appealing.
Galvanized.
The more you you galvanize the American people behind him and away from your party. If Trump is really as much of a non-issue as y'all say he is, then treat him like a non-issue. Stop going after him for like I'm not saying this isn't significant because it's very significant what he did, but let's not act like it's abnormal what he did. Let's not act like plenty of politicians aren't doing the same thing. The thing is, y'all don't like Trump. Me personally,
Right.
do I think Trump is a great idea of a president? No. But I don't hate the man. So I see all of this is like, y'all, it's funny. It's like, well, I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say this. Right now, the way that people are interacting with Trump is very emotional and it's very almost vindictive. It's from a place of, I just want to see this suffer, right? It is not a whole lot of logic going on. This is a lot of emotion. And I think that's why they keep messing up. And they're going to themselves right into another Trump presidency because they didn't learn anything from Hillary Clinton giving them the blueprint for how to lose to somebody that isn't qualified to be in the position. And they just keep doubling down on that bad strategy.
I just want to let you know you're at your F word limit for this video. So you done shot your load already.
Did I? Have I said it?
Twice.
I didn't think I said it.
I just messing with you. But that's one of the first things that I thought about. You're helping to further promote the idea of Trump. Those who are behind Trump are not going to stop being behind Trump. As a matter of fact, I was looking at something yesterday. I think $200 million have been raised.
Yep.
To support Trump. Think about that. $200 million in a short time between when he was convicted to today. And he was convicted last Thursday? Mm-hmm. Last Wednesday or Thursday? Because I was in DC. And so let's say a week. Within a week, $200 million. And listen to what I'm saying. $200 million have been raised in support of this man. Mm-hmm. Y'all keep putting gas on the fire, but PC, bring you in, man. What were your initial, same question? What was your initial thoughts about him possibly being convicted, and what were your thoughts after you learned he was convicted?
I'm not surprised. I mean, shit, they got 5 cases against him. They got to do something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I agree with what Pat said. Although I don't think the Democrats, they're stupid because they're emotional. They don't really have a platform on their own. So, and people who just like, when I've talked to people about this whole concept of Trump, all I get is emotional tirades. I get nothing. And the thing is, if you wanted to break a logical argument as to why he shouldn't be running, you really could. You know what I'm saying? But most people never get to that point because they're so heightened emotionally about the boogeyman. And let me go back to 2016 when he first ran the first time. I can recall, and I remember in June on WRD radio here in Philadelphia, I was on the radio and a famous doctor, y'all don't care to mention too much, from Philadelphia, was also on there. And we were talking about who was going to win the election. He said Hillary, I said Trump. And the reason why I said Trump is because I lived outside of Philadelphia. I know what the rest of the country is like. So when Trump got elected, you had black people talking about moving to Canada. Talking about,
I remember that.
So, it's something about this man that drives black people insane. And I'm not saying they shouldn't like the man, because I'm really indifferent when it comes to these politicians, all of them, be honest with you. I have a black pill approach to all of them. I don't really care. It's about what you can do and can't do. But what this reeks of is fear. And it reeks of fear because they know that they don't have anybody that, if he's allowed to even limp into the primary, there's nobody in the Republican Party that's going to beat him. Once he clears those primaries, Jim Crow Joe can't beat him. And I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, we're talking about people talking about he had 34 felonies. I'm like, do you realize they never discussed what the felonies were? Like, nobody talked about shut the hell up, King. Get your ass home. Sorry, my cat is in here trying to drive me crazy. She got something to say about Trump too. Anyway, maybe my train of thought. They got 35 felonies, right? And all you keep hearing about is 34 felonies. 30. Like, did y'all read it? And then it ain't even complicated. All this shit is files. This shit is invoices, stuff like a bunch of stuff that Wall Street does on a daily basis. And it's about hush money for or star. Well, didn't we have Pizzagate in DC? Didn't we have the DC madam in DC? Like, she didn't even get to go to trial, right? She had a Jeffrey Epstein reality, whatever, episode where she was found hanging, you know what I'm saying, at her mother's summer home or something like that. So how would people feel if Bill Clinton was running for president again? Like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, if just based on, if you want to line these charges up, you know what I'm saying? Bill Clinton had DNA on somebody's dress. You know what I'm saying? So when we examine all of this, it really comes down to the fact that all these democratically elected district attorneys all over the country are launching this campaign, and it don't work. This is 2024.
Hey.
In this day and age, like the whole concept of a standard American values, what even does that mean anymore? Like, I'm watching basic television. People are dropping the F-bomb on regular, access television.
Yeah. You know, things have changed. Social media has pushed the envelope. Right.
The times have changed. And the people who actually, like the older people who vote, most of them are deceased. Like what generation we're talking about? The boomer babies, most of them are gone, or they're going. So you're trying to influence young people to on American values when they see the corruption and hypocrisy of America. They're the main ones protesting it. They're the ones who drive home this concept of being woke. And you're going to throw 34 felonies. I'm sorry. Hey. You know what I'm saying? I call cab, and I rest my case. I land my plane right there.
So let me read this to you because it says first. Let me find the first part. What was Trump convicted of? Trump was charged with 34 counts of falsification of business records in the first degree, which is a felony in New York. He pled not guilty when he was arraigned last year. In 2017, Cohen and Alan Weisselberg, an executive at the Trump Organization, reached an agreement on how Cohen would be repaid for $130,000 that he sent to Daniels in exchange for her silence. And Stormy Daniels, that's the former corn star that Donald Trump was messing with. Weisselberg detailed the calculations and handwritten notes that were shown to the jury at trial. Cohen would receive $130,000 for the Daniels payment plus $50,000 intended for a technology company that did unrelated work for Trump. The amount was doubled to account for taxes that Cohen would have to pay on the income. Weisselberg then tacked on an extra $60,000 as a bonus for Cohen, who was upset that his regular year-end award had been cut. The total worked out to $420,000. Then it says, why were the charges a felony? Under New York law, falsification of business records is a crime when the records are altered with an intent to defraud. To be charged as a felony, prosecutors must also show that the offender intended to commit another crime or aid or conceal another crime when falsifying records. In Trump's case, prosecutors said that the other crime was a violation of a New York election law that makes it illegal for any two or more persons to conspire to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means, as Justice Juan Merchant explained in his instructions to the jury. What exactly those unlawful means were in the case was up to the jury to decide. Prosecutors put forth 3 areas that they could consider a violation of federal campaign finance laws, falsification of other business records, or a violation of tax laws. Jurors did not need to agree on what the underlying unlawful means were, but they did have to unanimously conclude that Trump caused the business records to be falsified and that he did so with intent to defraud that included an intent to commit another crime or aid or conceal the commission thereof. So basically, they got him basically on falsification of records, conspiring to help or hurt something else within the campaign trail. So, because I'm curious to see what happens next. That's one of the reasons why I want to talk about this, because I'm curious to see what happens next. Like, he's been convicted 34 counts of falsification of business records. The sentencing is months away. There's a lot of back and forth. Money has been raised. Trump has come out and said things. The Democrats are saying things. The Republicans are saying things. One thing that I am recognizing about this is both the Republican and Democratic parties are weak right now. And Trump is the strongest, most visible, most polarizing candidate out of all the presidential candidates. And I wouldn't be surprised if these convictions didn't help to push him further up the ladder to be like the prime candidate. Huh?
They absolutely will.
Yeah. Because he's the prime candidate right now. Like, what other Republican or Democratic or Independent or Green Party, whatever, who's more? And I'm not saying when I say he's the prime candidate, I'm not saying he's the most qualified.
No, he's the prime candidate, period. Like, there's no arguing that.
He is, but people gonna be like, he ain't the best.
Yeah, we ain't talking to them people.
But we ain't
talking to them people. Because if you hear, you hear prime candidate and you think qualifications, then you're not ready for this conversation.
Yeah, that ain't what we talking about. People want to vote for Trump. He is being martyred right now. The spotlight is on him so hard, and Trump couldn't be more happier.
Well, I think the thing we gotta keep in mind, Trump is alpha candidate because both parties have poured all their energy into him.
Yeah. Yes.
They haven't focused on any other candidate on the national level. Neither party.
Right.
The American media, the fourth estate, has also focused all of its energy on him. Trump is getting damn near, I'd say 75, 80% of everybody's energy right now in the political world. And so, of course, he's the biggest thing smoking. And this is why I said the Democrats, if they want to be a viable party, well, you got to accept that the party system is broken, not because it doesn't work, but because both of the primary parties have chosen to not do what they need to do. Neither one of them. One of the rules, one of the governing intentions of the party system was to prevent Donald Trump from being able to exist in the first place.
Yeah. You should, like, our political process is looked at as a huge joke because Donald Trump was president. Like, when I heard he was running for president, I thought it was a joke.
Because it was a joke.
Right.
Everybody thought it was a joke. Even Donald Trump thought it was a joke.
And then the people made it real.
Nah, I don't know, man, because the Simpsons had pegged that John.
Donald Trump being president was a running joke for decades. But you know what happened? When the party systems became, we can no longer say one bird, two wings. Not in the same sense that we used to say it before. Sure, it doesn't matter who's in office for black folk. That don't change.
Yeah.
So black folk can still say it.
Yeah.
But in terms of the average, everyday, non-black or white American, the two parties are now adversarial to a point where, like, in the 60s, 70s, even the 80s a little bit, they would all go out and play games together, have fun, talk behind it. They're not doing that no more. Now they really don't like each other.
Yeah. It's been practiced.
The petty nature has been revealed. I think that lockdown has had an effect on everybody in terms of the ability to socialize. But yeah, they don't, I don't know, man. Back in the day, they used to have fist fights on the congressional floor.
Yeah, right. But then they would go play cards, so they have family get-togethers. It's long running. This is why Barack Obama was like, he tried to bring back the tradition, and they kind of scoffed at it, of presidents meeting with the leaders of the opposing party and having those regular dialogues. Like, that was a long-standing presidential tradition, that the president would meet with the opposite party and have conversations. Barack Obama came in office. The Republicans didn't want to meet with Barack Obama. Trump's in office. I don't even know if he extended, but it don't even matter. The Democrats weren't going to meet with Donald Trump.
Nah, not at all. Not at all. It's emotional at this point.
Well, yeah. But Donald Trump he's ostracized both sides. He really is an independent. He just happens to be identified as a Republican, but he really is an independent. I mean, you notice, like, the Republicans, Fox News, and all these other places, they're not out here trying to defend him. They're not out here trying to launch an argument or a campaign to promote him or defend his character or any of that nature, because he's a wild card. Nobody really can control him. And because he came in with his own money, he really don't need nobody. He doesn't need sponsors. The people are putting that bread together y'all were just talking about earlier. You don't need to go to no corporate sponsorship for that. And like he asked what happens now, Joe. Does he, well, first of all, we've seen he's gaining more popularity.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as bad publicity. They, short of deleting him, I don't know how the Democrats win the election. They've thrown everything at him. They have these 34, which were misdemeanors that they found a loophole to make them felonies, right? And based on these 34 felonies, nobody's really ever going to jail for stuff like this. Nobody's facing any prison time for this. This is considered a Class E felony, which is like the weakest felony you can get.
It's the lowest felony. The most you could get is 4 years.
Right.
Right.
And if he launches an appeal, by the time the appeal process takes place, he'll already be in the White House by then. He give himself and well, it won't be up to him to give himself a pardon, but the next governor of New York, I'm promising you, will be if he gets elected, the next governor of New York is going to be a Republican, somebody he endorses, somebody he gets behind, and then they can just, you know, forgive him for that particular situation. So it's really this is really a circus. You know what I'm saying? Watching this go down. And when you look at the state of the world, like how people are dealing with things and dealing with issues, I'm having a hard time finding a reason to even care about who wins the next election, because everybody talked about the last election like it was the voter, excuse me, I don't want to say the word, but voter, you know what I mean, parish. And people voted.
It was.
They were able to steal the election for Biden.
Same thing they're saying for this one. This is one of the most important elections ever. We have to keep Donald Trump out. Yada 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 yada.
And let's get down to it. Do black people get anything either way? Because I'm tired of this boogeyman thing, where it's at least you don't want him in office. Well, damn it, I didn't want Jim Crow Joe in office either.
I mean, I once again with black people, we have to stop looking at. First of all, we have to stop being party loyal. Then we have to stop looking at. We have to stop voting with our emotions as well, and looking through the lens of our emotions, because it's at an emotional point right now with black people in their disdain for Donald Trump. I'm not saying this that folks should be liking Donald Trump and that, but we are like the same black people who hate Donald Trump have forgiven Joe Biden for his indiscretions. Mm-hmm. And that I don't understand, because I'm saying have the same energy for both of them.
No, but
make them work.
That's because black people don't, en masse, black people don't really want change. And we talk about this all the time. Black people want to feel good, but they don't want change. I mean, we saw this. Bernie Sanders has done just as much harm. And I know people argue about me with this all the time, but Bernie Sanders has done just as much harm as Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
But you see how, he signed the crime bill. But you see how excited he got about. We are about Bernie Sanders. You know what I'm saying?
The burn.
Because he had a convenient way to logic the negativity out of it. I signed the crime bill because there was some components in there for women's rights that I agreed with. Okay, but that's cool. There were components in there for everybody that everybody agreed with. But black folks still got screwed.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, but we give them a pass.
Like, but once again, having that historical view and that overall view of what's going on and why it's going on within this political circus that's happening right now, black people, I don't think this is the time for black people to run toward the Democrats. I think it's the time for black people to take a step back totally and thoroughly examine everything and every candidate that's going on, because like this is showing, so Democratic candidates, Joe Biden, Dean Phillips, Jason Palmer, Marianne Williamson. Dean Phillips, Jason Palmer, y'all don't have a chance. Marianne Williamson have a better, actually she don't have no delegates. They ain't got a chance. Nikki Haley, better. Right. The Republican lineup is at least more noteworthy and have a little more traction going on. Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and Vivek Ramsway. But then you also have Chase Oliver, Robert F. Kennedy, Jason Palmer, Jill Stein, Randall Terry, and Cornel West. Instead of all those people, we did a show on Cornel West. We forgot Cornel West was running for president. We did a whole show on it.
I didn't forget. I just don't care.
He just got booed out at a college out in Los Angeles over the weekend. Sorry, bro.
I didn't forget. I just I think Cornel West is a great mind.
Yeah.
I don't think that he's a great politician,
Uh,
and
That's fair.
that's the truth of it. If black folk look, man, if black folk want to get serious about politics, and we need to groom politicians. That is a skill set. Being a politician is a title that comes with a specific set of skills that you need to be good at. You can't just be smart. You can't just be likable. You have to be persuasive. You have to be adaptive, intellectually
At it.
flexible, morally adjustable. You gotta kind of you have to have a skill set that allows you to work with people that you don't like, can't stand, and don't share anything in common with. And y'all gotta find a way to make something out of all of those negative things that y'all feel about each other that both parties come out positive with. Black folk who do we have on a national level with that particular skill set?
We
well,
don't.
even beyond that, right? Beyond having like, and so because you're talking about a candidate, right, Pat?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I'm thinking more so in terms of a culture that that breeds people that can amass an ideology, not just an ideology, but lobbies. People that can actually formulate to work on the critical needs of black people on behalf of black people. And I mean, if you want to play the game of politics, you got to actually get in the game and play. That means that we have to be able to put leverage on people. That means
Yeah.
so morally speaking, it's not necessarily from a place of the Christian based morality that we typically go by. You got to have the type of morality that means win at all costs. That means I gotta take a picture of J. Edgar Hoover in the closet from the closet of him indulging in some activities that would destroy his professional career. I got to, play in the muddy end of the field. And those are things that we aren't willing to do, but that's the dirty, grimy game of politics, especially here in America. And we don't really seem to have the capacity to do those things unless it's to each other. But in terms of like winning or a racial, because it would be us utilizing a leverage in terms of we draft the actual policy for the candidates that are in office, and whomever take the policy, similar to what Ice Cube tried to do with the plan for Black America. We draft the policy, but we have to have more people on board. See, Ice Cube just came out with it, but we didn't know he was doing it. So
Right.
it's hard to get behind something you didn't know was coming.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think those areas as well. Because I don't know if we can win with a black face anymore in American politics as things are right now. But
Yeah.
we can leverage a politician to do our work for us if we truly understand how to leverage people in the political sphere.
Ice
So
Cube. I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
No, I was
ahead.
gonna say Ice Cube, in my opinion, up by going public in the first place. I'm sorry. He messed up by going public in the first place. Um, you major
Mhm.
political victories don't happen in public.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? He was supposed to be campaigning and shopping and working behind the scenes. By the time he came public with it, he should have already. They don't bring stuff to the floor for a vote unless they know it can pass or they trying to make a statement.
Hmm.
And I think we need to understand that that means that before it got to the floor for the vote, it had been worked on in some cases for years with
Hmm.
people back and forth talking and whatnot. And if you're engaged in the political process, You don't need somebody that look like you. Like the whole reason we need a candidate is because we refuse to engage in the political process. We're looking for representatives and proxies. So if we're going to play the game that way, then we need a candidate. But that's not the best way to play the game, because now you're focusing all your power. Remember that conversation we had about power last week?
And you have to move that powerful unit.
Everybody's giving the agency to one person, and that one person could be bought, could be compromised, could be any number of things. So that's the not the best way to engage in the system of politics. The best way would be to, as Joe is saying, aggregate your agency as a collective and move as a block, move as a unit. But we can't really seem to do that either. So there's another option. There are a plethora of options. We could just have think tanks and whatnot coming up with policies and programs and procedures, and then pushing those into places of power to be discussed, ironed out, navigated, figured out what can we compromise on to get this thing voted in without reducing the impact of it to such a degree that it no longer serves a purpose. Like there's like 5 or 6 options I could think of right off the top of my head for how we could do this. Problem is they all require some level of action and some level of dark work.
Mm-hmm. Hey Pat, I don't know if anybody would tell you, but the next time I do a movie, I want you in it, bro.
But I agree with what both of you all are saying. Our political, the way we go about being involved in politics, as we've said over and over again, it doesn't work, and we keep doing it, and it doesn't work. Now,
we're children.
But so I just want to play devil's advocate for
okay.
Say Trump actually does go to jail. He does go to jail. What does that look like for the political landscape moving forward? Who would be the Republican candidate? Would that give Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the administration, a lot more momentum? Would that help?
He's not going to jail. He's not. So you're assuming he goes to jail before the election?
I'm not assuming he does before the election. I'm just saying, assuming that he does.
No, and you're hypothetical. So, because he's not going to jail before the election. That's
right. It's
already been stated.
Yeah, I don't think. I'm just saying. Let's just say he goes to jail. Period. Let's say. Well, all right. Let me lay it out better. He's Trump. The election process goes. Trump is he's a reelected president, but then he's convicted and he goes to jail. What happens next? Is there of course we expect the vice president to go up, but what happens with the Democratic Party? How does that affect everything moving forward if in fact he does go to jail?
I don't think, well, in that impossible scenario, because if Trump is elected president, he's not going to jail. Right. But if he's not elected president and he gets, say, 20 months, because I doubt they're gonna give him the full 4 years. I don't think they're gonna give him no time at all. But we'll say in this hypothetical, they give him 20 months. Donald Trump becomes the white Nelson Mandela.
Why you say that?
He becomes full-fledged martyr. His audience now, Donald Trump becomes a deity. He becomes Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
He already.
If Donald Trump goes to jail for this, PC's 100% spot on. These are the lowest level felonies you could get charged for. If Donald Trump, as an 80-year-old man, goes to jail for this, I'm gonna go out and say it. I think another civil war happens.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Have some kind of uprisings.
Yeah, January 6th is gonna be small compared to what happens if Donald Trump goes to jail.
And black people, keep y'all out of it. Yeah, if Donald Trump is not allowed to run, yeah, it's going. I mean, listen, it's things we don't talk about. We talk about. Most people don't talk about. America is our people are already at the end of their rope. This is worse than the place coming out of the lockdowns and all the other stuff that happened a few years ago. These people are at the end of their wits. They have been buying munitions from like it's going out of style. Um, it's going to be bad out here in these and
Mhm.
they're already putting propaganda out for American Civil War movies. I mean, you had one called Bushwick that came out about 4 or 5 years ago. You got one that's actually called the Second Civil War or something like that. That's actually coming out right now. Like the propaganda is being pushed in that direction anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's being done from a white nationalist, a what they call white radical perspective. This movie that's coming out. The pulse of the people that have their finger on the pulse, they know what buttons need to be pushed to actually to the accelerant to cause this situation to explode. And so you talking about first? Let's go to the first part. I think you were talking about the election part. Who's going to be a candidate? I don't think it's going to matter. I think America as we know it stops. People can't afford to eat right now. Nobody wants to talk about it because they're too prideful. People can't afford to eat. The cost of living is astronomical. There are a bunch of things that can cause brush fires all over this country. And then you're going to see some charlatans that see this as an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of Alex Joneses out here riling people up. So
Mhm.
you're going to see, and black people, one thing black people want, we want to be gangster, but when we see the whites of white folk eyes, we ain't so gangster. You know what I'm saying? And so it's going to be bad. I would tell black people to, you better start networking with other brothers and sisters, and especially for those of you who decided that you didn't want to live around black people, because I can recall back in when Trump first got elected, there were some sisters that were talking about how their neighborhood, the energy in the neighborhood changed and shifted on them regarding their non-black white neighbors in regard to how they were treated and how they started feeling threatened for being in those environments and feeling alone and not feeling protected. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the tip of the iceberg.
I do think if Trump is either not able to run, or if he does actually go to prison, it will be uprisings. It will be backlash. It will be people who take to the streets and tear some stuff up. I do believe that will happen. Because it's too many radicalized Trump supporters out there. And like you said, mentioned January 6th, they've already showed us that they're willing to go there.
But right where you at, right? Remember the last time we had a civil war in this country? In places where the war wasn't taking place, the anger was taken out on black people. In New York City, Philadelphia, Boston, black people were lynched. Black people were rounded up. Their neighborhoods were burned down during that time. You know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, stay out of their war, but be prepared for the one that comes to our doorstep.
Yeah. But so also let's push him forward with this hypothetical scenario, right? Let's say Trump is not able to run. They like you can't run. Do you all think Joe Biden gets reelected? Because I hope not.
Does he want to even run? The
I
man
think
can't even
they
take
are running.
steps without falling.
They are running, but for me, I just think we shouldn't vote for either Trump or Biden. Like, just don't vote for neither one of them. Like really study the candidates this time. Like, actually, really do that. Like, actually, really just go out and study.
We're too late.
Yeah, I know. I'm just, but I'm just going with this. That's why this hypothetical situation. I'm just going with that.
If in a hypothetical, the only way Trump would be announced that he couldn't run is if the Republican Party said, you can't be a member of our party. And even then, he could just run as an independent because there's nothing in the Constitution that says a felon can't run for president.
Hey, I voted for myself for mayor of Philadelphia, so.
Okay. Well, I mean, well. See, there it is, and as long as his name is on the ballot, he has a chance to win. So,
right.
So exactly. So basically, their best chance is to actually have him in prison.
No, because he could still be on the ballot even in prison. Their best chance is for him to die.
And the best chance is for him to die. But that also speaks worse for the country. Because if he does, and it seems to be, if there's a smidget of doubt in terms of how that actually happened, if there's a smidget of a potential conspiracy around how it happens, you've just put the match.
Yeah, he can't now.
It'd be in their best interest to keep him alive.
Yeah, he need to live another 5-10 years.
Yeah, and so I do think, like Pat said, I do think that the Democrats have dug this hole for themselves in this political arena right now so deep that for one, you have a number of Black people who were career Democrats who are looking at the Republican Party. Some may not be looking at the Republican Party, but they're just not rocking with the Democratic Party. But in the eyes of those who have been rocking with Trump and those who have been thinking about rocking with Trump, like that match has been lit. Like, Trump is that dude right now. He's on fire for them, and they're rallying behind him. Once again, $200 million have been collected within a week to support him for being convicted.
Yeah,
think about that. That's crazy.
I need parts.
This is where the counterculture of the underground Black society comes into play, because the more they push against Trump, the more appealing he becomes for a segment of Black Americans.
Right.
And go ahead.
No. Finish the part. I got it.
No, I was just gonna say, and then the other challenge that we have is go ahead, PC.
Well,
I'm gonna be nice.
Nah, you got to say it now. You shouldn't say it.
Go ahead, PC.
You sure, man? Because I want to kind of want to hear it now.
Just say it.
Go ahead, PC. Go ahead, PC.
You sure? All right.
Yeah,
man.
go ahead.
All right. So, what I was going to say is, I think the reason why the biggest reason why we can't get Black people like that it's just too far down the road in terms of like getting Black people not to vote, is because too many Negroes are sold out. Too many Negroes benefit off of Black people voting for the Democrats.
Of course.
And so they're the main rallying was in. And if they don't know nothing else, we know how to shame Black people.
What?
We know how to scare Black people and shame them.
Well, Black people are running out of they're running out of hornet's nest from the Democrat side and running to the spider web of the Republican side, acting like that's a better side. And I still don't understand that.
No, I mean, it's, need to feel like they're a part of something. Like they need to, like, you ever hear like people talk about stuff and, you know what I'm saying? I mean, too. I'm really mean you with the ER. Hard
He,
yard.
he just so you got to space when you say that you got to space it out. So
Okay.
that make it easier for editing.
All right. I just think that like situations that don't involve us, we just try to immerse ourselves into it. Or they, because I'm not them, try to immerse themselves into situations that don't just to feel relevant, or to be, as Pat said earlier, approximate to what's going on, to feel like they're not being left out. Black people are not. Nobody cares about black people in politics these days. One, don't need the numbers. Especially because we're not an organized group. If black people decided to vote as one block, then it would make a difference. But we're splintered and splattered all over the place. And there's somebody watching us right now, like, man, y'all niggas don't tell me nothing. And this is and that mindset is it's not just it's not just one place. It's all over the black community. So when you try to unify around a certain thing, the ego, not just the ego, but the lack of respect we have for each other as black people shines its ugly head. It rears its ugly head. And therefore, I don't need to listen. It's like Canada.
The rallying cry is we have to save democracy.
For what? For who? It's never served us.
No, but voting for the Democrats is not saving democracy. And that's what black people don't get. Like, black people are saying this and they don't understand it. Voting for either party is not saving democracy. It's helping that party be strengthened.
Okay,
I
so
think,
go ahead,
PC. No, go ahead.
All right, this is my last, and then I'm gonna shut down for a little bit.
No, you're good.
We've all been children before. Hopefully. We've all watched our caretakers, our parents, take on matters that we weren't privileged to. We just came home, ate, maybe did our homework and all that other stuff, and we may have helped out in chores and stuff like that. Felt real big about stuff, but we didn't know about the undergirdings of what it took to run a house, because that was our parents' responsibility. And we didn't want to. And then when a lot of us got older, we got, damn, I don't really want this responsibility. Well, as black people, we're currently still children in this whole concept. And we don't really want the responsibility of maintaining the ownership of the house, maintaining the running and the functionality of it. We still want somebody else to do that because we only got plans for the weekend. We don't have a plan for we talk about generational wealth and putting a community together. It sounds good until, you realize that this ain't a movie. The music don't come on. We don't have climactic moments and moments of triumph and celebration and shit starts to move in slow motion for us. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that. And when you have to get down and do that work to make it happen, most people bow out. Y'all saw I tried to organize black men last year to just come to a monthly meeting, even through social media, if you could make it in person. It lasted 6 months, and it really lasted 6 months because I was able to stretch it. We didn't want to come together about anything. And the only time the sisters come together is when it's on some toxic shit, when it comes to about tearing us down. And we operate like petulant, petty children who don't want the responsibility of ownership when it comes to leading and running a community.
So that means you voting for Joe Biden?
I ain't voting for nobody. I don't put my name on the ballot. I'm voting for Professor Carl Tone Jones is running for president. I want to see you there. Put my name on the ballot.
So overall, I want to, because I think this is significant what is happening to Trump, but we also have to think about the effects that it will have on our community, whether he actually goes to prison or not, because of the way we have historically voted for the Democratic Party. And for a lot of people that I've heard speaking about this from the Democratic side, from the liberal side, or people that I personally talked to, for them, they're excited, and to them, it's almost as if we're getting rid of this opponent who's been the thorn in our side. And it's like, well, the opponent that's been the biggest thorn in your side, especially for like the last 4 years, has been the person at the head of the party that you rocking with. Because on this end with Donald Trump, it's an emotional plea. It's an emotional area that you're in. You don't like him. Cool. But you're getting nothing from these people. You're getting nothing from either party. Don't get it twisted. You're getting nothing from either party. But the party that you're loyal to, you're getting nothing from them. We got nothing from Biden. They ran on all this black stuff. Got nothing from his vice president. Decided to be black when she needed to be. Got nothing. She be disappearing all the time. Last time you seen her, she was in a different world commercial on Instagram. She showed up at HBC. She showed up at the FAMU Howard game for the Celebration Bowl, showing up at stuff like that. But you're not showing up at things that the community really need, what they actually voted you for. But then my problem with that, though, is a lot of black people tell you that they didn't actually vote for the president to do anything. What are you voting for then? And that political ineptitude is one of the main things that is keeping us where we are, keeping us down, and keeping a lot of people, whether you're blindly voting Democrat or blindly voting Republican, it's keeping you doing those things, and we're not moving forward. Donald Trump, like we've said, and I said again, I think Donald Trump has become more polarizing. He's been shot out there in the atmosphere a lot more, and there are a lot more eyes on him, and he's the central focus for the presidential race. This move may not have been the best. I'm just saying. But the question we all do want to know is he actually going to prison? Donald Trump, is you going to prison? Is you going to prison, Donald? Because if so, what's going to happen to your hair? So, yeah. Any final thoughts, my gentlemen?
Whose coke was that in the White House?
Who's who?
Whose coke was that in the White House? Did they finish that investigation yet?
Hey, who knows? Nobody knows. Hey, man. Joseph Ward, Patrick Irvin, Professor Carl Tone Jones, FetLifeStation.com. You already know the link is in the description. Make sure you check it out. Hit that. Go ahead and support Professor Carl Tone Jones. Also, the link is in the bio to buy any of the books that are on our book list that we've read and we are going to continue to read. So that link is in the bio, and any link that all the links to support On the Shoulders of Giants is in the description rather than the bio. It's in the description. So make sure y'all hit them. You see the Cash App and the website down at the bottom. So visit, support. Let's keep moving this thing, but let's be on top of what's happening. And let's be smarter about what we do, especially the ones that's watching this channel. And one time for the people who be disagreeing with us, we like it. We ain't saying we know it all, but we like it. So keep disagreeing, keep commenting. See y'all next week.